Hey, book lovers, welcome to While I Read. I'm Katie, and today I'm going to tell you about all of the books that I've read recently. I've actually really enjoyed my reading over the past month or so. I've read a couple of thrillers, a bunch of cozy mysteries, and one five-star middle grades book. As always, all of the books that I talk about, there'll be a link down below, and you can purchase that book if you're interested. That's a way you can support my channel at no extra cost if you're interested in any of these books. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I'll tell you about is The Summer Guests by Tess Gerritsen. This is the second book in the Martini Club series. I really liked the first book in this series. So it's about retired CIA agents who are living in Maine. So, our main character in the series is Maggie Bird. She is living in this small town in Maine. She basically is just trying to live a quiet life, but in the first book in the series, The Spy Coast, some events from her past came back to haunt her. In this book, it's not necessarily dealing with Maggie's past so much as with something that has happened in this town in the past, and then also with an abduction or a teenage girl who goes missing in the present. So it turns out that there are actually a lot of spies who live in this town, retired spies. Apparently, they like to retire in small towns in Maine. And so they think of themselves as the Martini Club, and they get together for martinis and book discussions, but they also sort of do their own investigations of crimes that take place in this town. So some of our chapters are following Maggie and her other spies who work with her. Other chapters are following the town's police chief, Joe Thibodeau, who is a really interesting character. She's sort of resentful of Maggie and the other spies, but also sort of appreciates their help. So I really love that, the tension of their relationship. And then in this book, a lot of our chapters are following this family who has come to Maine, and they're part of like this rich family, and the teenage daughter Zoe goes missing. And so that's what this book is about, the Martini Club trying to help figure out what has happened to Zoe. I liked this book definitely as much as the first book in the series, maybe even more than the first book in the series, which is pretty unusual for me. I gave it 4 stars. It was a very compelling read, and I was just interested in it all the way through. So I definitely recommend this book. I would say read the first one in the series first. I don't always do that. I'll jump in series, but I feel like the fact that I had read the first one gave me just a little better idea of some of these characters, and I enjoyed getting to know them further and just the compelling suspense of this book. The other thriller that I read recently was Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies by Catherine Mack. This was just such a fun, exciting read. It's about an author named Eleanor Dashwood, or no, Eleanor Dash, sorry. I think Eleanor Dashwood is the heroine in Sense and Sensibility, and there is a mention of Sense and Sensibility. It was her mother's favorite book. Anyway, her name is Eleanor Dash. She's an author, and she's on a book tour. There are some other authors on this book tour. Her sister, who is also her assistant, is on the tour. There are some fans, possibly a stalker who's on this tour. So it's really fun. They're in Italy. So the author is planning on killing off the main character in her series. This main character is based on a real person named Connor, and she just doesn't like the relationship that she has with Connor, so she wants to get rid of Connor in the books and start fresh. But then the real Connor comes to her and says that he thinks someone is trying to kill her or trying to kill him. And so he wants her help in figuring out who's trying to kill him. So then bodies actually do start to drop, and we're trying to figure out who the killer is. This book is fun. I always like books that are about authors, and it also has footnotes in it where Eleanor, the main character, breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the reader. Some people might find this annoying. I might find this annoying in some cases, but I didn't in this book. I did listen to it on audiobook, which is a different experience from reading a physical book or reading a Kindle. I really liked listening to it, so that might be something that you want to try. It has a sequel that's coming out very soon that I'm really excited to read. That's No One Was Supposed to Die at This Wedding. So I'm planning on reading that one. I definitely recommend this book. I gave it 4 stars. I may end up rounding that up to 5 because the more I think back on this book, the more of a good time it seems. So definitely recommend this one. Next, I'll tell you about the cozy mysteries that I read. And actually, all of the cozy mysteries were in the Cat in the Stacks series by Miranda James. I've talked about that series on this channel before, and I've kind of skipped around in the series. But this time I decided that I would go back to the beginning and I would read the series in order, which is just such a crazy thing for me. So I started with the first book in the series, Murder Past Due. And in this book, we're introduced to our main character, Charlie, who is a librarian. He's in his 50s. He has a cat named Diesel, a Maine Coon. And he takes Diesel everywhere to him, like to work or to visit his friends, that kind of thing. It was fun to see this version of Charlie because I'm used to the version later on in the books. In this one, he is a little bit more, I guess, focused on some of the tragedies that have happened in his life. Like he's lost his wife a few years ago. He lost his aunt a few years ago. She left him the home where he's living in. And he's definitely past the grieving phase, but he's kind of starting to put his life back together in this series. So he has a really large house, and so he rents out a room in the house to a student. He also has a housekeeper named Azalea. And so both the student that he rents a room to, Justin, and Azalea are big parts of this series. So a man named Godfrey Priest, who is a famous author, has come back to Athena, which is where Charlie works at the Athena College Library. And Godfrey Priest is going to do some appearances at the library and around town. He's like this really big celebrity author now. Charlie knew him from way back when they were in school together and didn't really like him that much. Then Godfrey Priest turns up dead, and Charlie ends up involved in the investigation, figuring out who the real killer is. So these books are just very comforting and fun. The fact that they're set in the South is really fun. So I enjoyed this first one in the series and gave it 4 stars. Next, I moved on to the second book in the series, which is Out of Circulation. So in this book, this man in town named James Delacourt asked Charlie to come to his house and do an inventory of his rare books collection. So Charlie goes to the house. He meets Delacourt's family. The house is this really huge house. He has like a butler and maybe some other servants, and several of his family members are living there. They are crazy. A lot of them don't really like Charlie that much. It's also really neat to read about his collection. Charlie is just in awe of some of the rare books that Delacourt has. Well, of course, Delacourt ends up being murdered, and it's suspected that someone in his household is the murderer. So once again, because Charlie was there, he's the one who discovered the body, he ends up being involved in the investigation. I really enjoyed this one. It was another 4-star read for me. Again, just finding out about Charlie's life was really fun. His son is part of this one. His son was still living in Texas, where Charlie had lived for many years before coming back to Athena, Mississippi. So in this one, we find out a little bit more about Charlie's son, and their relationship moves forward a little bit. It was just a good, fun, comforting read. Next, I read the third book in the series, File M for Murder. So in this one, there is a playwright who is the writer in residence at Athena College where Charlie is working. Charlie really doesn't like the guy that much. Then Charlie gets a nice surprise when his daughter Laura turns up. So now his son and his daughter are both living in the house with him. He's so happy to have them back. Laura is an actress and she's teaching a class or two at the college. She also is involved in the play that Connor is writing and directing. And it turns out that she and Connor have a history together. They had dated for a while. Charlie is not very pleased by that. Then Connor's body turns up, and Laura is a suspect in the murder. So I really enjoyed the family atmosphere of this. I also enjoyed the parts that had to do with acting and the theater because I've done a little acting. I used to enjoy it in high school and then like in some community theater and some college projects at the college where I work. So I like things that have to do with the theater. I love the college atmosphere of these books too. So I really enjoyed this book. It was another 4-star read for me. So I've just looked back at my notes. The fourth book in the series is Out of Circulation. That was the next book I read. I think that I told you that the second book in the series was Out of Circulation. That one was Murder Past Due. I love the punny library titles, but I get them confused. So anyway, this fourth book in the series, Out of Circulation, this is possibly my favorite book in the series so far. I gave it 5 stars. So in this one, we are introduced to the Dakota sisters. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. They are Miss Angel and Miss Dixie. Miranda James actually has a spin-off series called The Southern Sisters that's about these two ladies that I'll probably start in the near future. So in this book, the library advisory board that Charlie is on, that the Dakota sisters are on, is having a fundraising party. And they end up having this costume party where people dress like their favorite characters out of books. Oh my gosh, it was so fun to see the descriptions of different people's costumes that they wore. A lot of the books were ones that I had read, like the Elizabeth Peters books about Amelia Peabody, and it was so fun to read about it. So anyway, the Dakota sisters kind of have a feud with this woman named Vera Cassidy. The Dakota sisters are like old money in the town. Vera Cassidy married into money and she tries to act all uppity, and the Dakota sisters just are not having it. So they have a feud with her over whether to have the party at their estate, River Hill, or at her estate. And of course, the Dakota sisters win. So then at the party, Vera Cassidy has like a conflict with Charlie's housekeeper, Azalea. She's there with her daughter, Kenesha, who is the chief of police in the town. And Azalea has a big run-in with Vera. Then later, Vera is found dead. Azalea is the one who found the body, so she is suspected in the murder. So of course Charlie has to show that she did not really commit the murder. I really enjoyed this book. It kept me interested the whole time. I was surprised by the ending of it. So this is a really fun addition to the series. So the last book that I've read so far in this series is book number 5, The Silence of the Library. Don't you love the titles? So in this one, it's National Library Week, and the Athena Public Library is planning like a program, and they're going to honor Electra Barnes Cartwright, who is the author of the beloved Veronica Thane series. Veronica Thane is a girl detective, a lot like Nancy Drew. Charlie loves the books. One of the fun things about this book is that we actually get to read some of a Veronica Thane mystery. So that was really fun, getting to read that along with Charlie. So the author, they're surprised to learn, is still living. She's 100 years old. So Charlie and another librarian go to her house and they talk with her. And, there's just these fun, mysterious chapters that sort of parallel what happens in the Veronica Thane mystery that he's reading. Like they go to her house in this big storm and it's all mysterious when they get to her home. And so it was a really fun book. There are some rare book collectors who are wanting to come. There's a woman who's like the president of the Veronica Thane fan club or the Electra Barnes Cartwright fan club, something like that. So when a character turns up murdered, Charlie has to figure out who did this. Is it one of the Veronica Thane crazy fans? Is it part of the Electra Barnes Cartwright family? This book really took me by surprise at the end of it. This was another one that I gave 5 stars. So I have really had fun reading these first 5 books in the Cat in the Stack series. Now, like book 6, I had actually already read, so I'm probably going to move, and I think I've read book 7 too. So I'm not sure exactly where I'll go with this series next, but I'm looking forward to reading the ones in the series that I haven't read. If you like cozy mysteries with strong family themes and also with bookish themes, I can't recommend this series highly enough. And the last book that I'll tell you about that I rated 5 stars is Emily's Runaway Imagination by Beverly Cleary. This is my favorite Beverly Cleary book. It's one that you don't really hear about that often with Beverly Cleary. We hear about the Ramona books and like The Mouse and the Motorcycle and that kind of thing, but I loved Emily's Runaway Imagination. So it's about a young girl named Emily in a small town of Pitchfork, Oregon in the 1920s. And it's just all about Emily's adventures. Kind of the through line for the book is that Emily's mother is starting a library in that town. The town has never had a library before, and Emily wants to get to read books like her cousin Muriel, who lives in Portland. So her mother helps get a library started in the town. But the book is just all about Emily's adventures. Like there's a chapter where she accidentally feeds fermented apples to hogs and gets the hogs drunk. There's a chapter where her cousin comes and spends the night with her and some spooky things end up happening. There's a chapter where she makes a pie for the church, like dinner on the grounds, and her pie ends up going hilariously wrong. It's just such a fun book. I read it with my 6-year-old daughter, Sarah. Sarah loved it. I loved it. I actually bought this copy because I had a copy from when I was growing up and it had fallen apart. So I knew I had to read this one with Sarah. And it was probably the 6th or 7th, 10th time that I'd read it, but it was still just as good as the first time. So if you like middle grades books, I definitely recommend Emily's Runaway Imagination. So that's it for my recent reads. I hope that this has convinced you to pick up some of these books. Let me know what you've been reading and enjoying lately. Thank you for watching. If you like book reviews and recommendations, please subscribe to my channel. Now, you go grocery shopping while I read.